Well, I guess today's the day for this sucker. Hi, everybody. I'm John Strong with Full Blast Garage, and I got a jet ski problem in the form of a 1996 SeaDoo XP, and we're going to put a whole new pump housing on it. So let's go ahead and get started on that and get this XP on full blast. Well, before I just dive off head first into ripping this thing apart, I want to give everybody kind of a view of what we're looking at down here. So this might look a little bit intimidating, but it's pretty simple. You got, a little bit of a linkage that works your jet where you're pointing it. You got another linkage that works this kind of housing actuator, moves it up and down. You got 4 bolts, hold the outer pump housing on, and then 4 nuts inside there. They're attached to studs. And this sucker, that's pretty much it. It'll pull out after that. But I just want to give everybody kind of a close-up view of this. Not super intimidating of a job. I mean, you might look at it, be a little scared, but I've done this quite a few times now. And it's not too bad, but the main issue we got, if you can see in here, our impeller does not have a good seal up against the wear ring. The wear rings wore out, and when I was gassing this thing, it took forever to plane out, and that's a real good indication that your wear rings just blasted and smoked. So if you're having that issue where the motor's kind of revving a bunch, but you ain't going nowhere, you either got an issue with this housing where it might be broken and it's just shooting water somewhere it's not supposed to go, or your wear ring is worn out. So take a look at either of those if you're having issues. But I mean, if you're riding around on a jet ski from the 90s, you got issues in your life to begin with. So anything like me, you own 3 jet skis and only one of them runs at any given time. So let's go ahead and get started ripping this sucker apart and putting the new one on. All right, let's start blasting this thing apart here. 10 mil on your steering. Break that guy loose. And I like to go ahead and just put the hardware back together as I take this stuff apart. I'm laying something out. I'll do it kind of right to left, kind of keep track of it. Work from the outside in on this job. Don't want to go from the inside out. I think, man, I'm gonna have to grab smaller than a 10 mil. 1 second. Eight. Use your longest extension that you don't need to. All right, bust that loose. Now, I would think this thing would come loose. Well, no, this should come loose. I don't think there's anything holding it on. Grab a little screwdriver, do some pry action. Try not to break anything. All right, that's free. So now we've got our 4 bolts, and these guys are 13 mil. We can break those loose. This should really take apart the outer part here. Get to the inner part. At that point, once we get the inner off, then we're gonna have to get out our special SeaDoo tools and a vise to get that propeller loose. That is all it is. Take off that outer piece. You can go ahead and just set that aside, because that'll be one of the last things we put on. You can go ahead and leave this kind of little nipple looking fin thing here attached. We're going to take that off in a later step, and that is full of gear oil, so just keep that in mind when you break that sucker loose. It's going to be full of oil getting everywhere, and it's stinky kind. All right, so break these 17 mils off. These are the last 4 things holding this thing onto the ski. I just had to run my mouth about 3 jet skis running in the last video, because we took the 2 reliable family jet skis out, and at the end of the trip sucked something up into the impeller system, and it broke a piece of the plastic housing. So I also have that to do, so that'll be another fun one. So it's essentially this same job over again, but on a different jet ski. I'm trying to get these washers off. I might have to grab the magnet. These things are tight, and there ain't a whole lot of room in here for your hands. All right. I did notice when I inspected our newly broken one, totally one of these nuts that holds this inside interior pump housing thing on is gone, so I'm gonna have to go to the hardware store to work on that one too. All right, I'm grabbing the magnet. Tired of jacking with this stuff. All right, man. Well, the magnet got it a little bit off. These things are stuck on. Come on. And these will be glued on with some sort of adhesive. There's a chance it'll probably fight you some, but just keep pulling on it. It'll eventually come off. All right, one washer. Come on, second one. It's kind of one of those things, probably really easy to put on, not so easy coming off. Getting it like 2 threads at a time with the magnet there. But that's it. This thing should be loose. Whether it's going to want to come off or not, that's a different question. Oh, I almost forgot. I think we do have a pipe on the inside that needs to be removed before you pull on this thing. Let me inspect back here and get the light on it, but I think there is one thing you got to remove. You guys ever run into one of these positions where if it works, is it really a bad thing? So we got the front of the ski ratchet strapped over there to a piece of C-channel. We got the pump housing that's glued on with the force of the Incredible Hulk attached to this ratchet strap that is attached to another ratchet strap, because it was too far away, to another piece of C-channel. And we're gonna slowly ratchet on this sucker, get right in the blast zone. Man, is this gonna be like one of those jump scare things for you guys? When it comes loose, it's gonna shoot straight at the camera. Good Lord. Well, I'm ducking my head down. I might start moving the El Camino. Woo! She's tight. She's taut. There's lots of things creaking. And this thing right here, it is not giving up. And she's taut. That's for sure. Well, I'm gonna keep the camera going this way, but I'm turning my back. Woo! Woo! Every time it clicks, it's scary. It's still scary. Man, I think the whole housing is gonna probably bust off. Come on. Why ain't you coming off? I don't remember there being anything inside that cone that would be holding it on. Well, a couple more clicks ain't gonna kill it at this point. Woo! Something came loose. And it wasn't this. I think my ratchet strap gave up. Dang it. All right. We're gonna have to move on to something else, I guess. Man, my camera messed up and it missed the whole pull. I had the link from the El Camino to the impeller housing. I strapped this sucker down to the Ranger and we just put it in low and let it eat. And guess what? Something had to give. Either the whole motor was coming out or that pump housing fell. And man, when that thing finally let loose, I jumped out that Ranger and gave it a little kia, because I've been watching that Cobra Kai. But that thing just, it was whipping me. There's all kinds of adhesive up in here. And that's what happened, is somebody glued the hell out of this thing. But it's out now. There ain't nothing it can do about it. Well, things are slowly escalating out here, so I tried to get some of this plastic tubing off. Holy crap. Now my socket's stuck in the end of the impeller here, but this stuff is glued on so bad and I don't have extra ones of these guys. I'm just gonna go ahead and replace the wear ring and hope the other jet ski I do have to work on, I can actually get those out. I believe I've done that one before and I don't think those are crazily glued on. So that's good. Go ahead and keep this thing in the oil pan here. Get this little nose cone thing out. And these are 8 mils. And there will be gear oil back here. And this stuff's probably stinky. And it's definitely not a great angle. Go ahead and work on getting this thing off. Alright, I got all the 3 bolts off this thing. Maybe give her a little tap. Oh, she's moving around now. It ought to release. Oh. Ew. Little Ernest P. Worrell action on that one. Woo. That is some stanky, old, nasty gear oil. All right, so I do have the vise over here just in case I need it. In the past, I've had decent luck just holding one side while I hammer on the impeller over here with this special SeaDoo socket, and it break loose. I'll put the crescent on the other side, hold it. It's just got like this little nub. You can get a decent bite on it with your crescent. But it really helps when you have gear oil all over everything right before you start working. Oh, I wish you guys could smell this. This stuff is putrid. All right. And this is a lefty loosey. Oh, man, this thing's not a 19. I thought it was. Let me go grab, maybe it's 21 or a 20. I don't know, whatever them Canadians use. If it ain't 19, is it 21? It's bigger than 21. Is it? There's no way. That's 22. That's as high up. I do have a 24. Is that why I have this socket? I think that's it. There's a chance it's a little loose and not right, but I think we can make it work. Oh, I got gear oil all over my crescent. You know, I'll take that straight to the washer and wash it up before I put it back in my toolbox. Nope. Oh, this thing's spinning on my crescent. So nasty. Probably all that gear oil. Why it ain't getting a good bite. Wiggle this sucker off. Yeah, it ain't gonna move until I get it off. Let's see. Try number 2. Man, I think it's doing the same thing. I think it's spinning inside my crescent here. Dang it. Alright, I think I'm going to have to lock this sucker in the vise. But I really didn't want to get gear oil all over my vise too. That's nice. I mean, this is how a normal job just starts snowballing. Like, there is crap everywhere on this thing. Gosh. This floor vise, it's a special model. You can only find it in an abandoned storage unit. I'm sure of it. That's where I found this one. And I'm gonna try and stay real tight on this thing. Jeez. All right. Can we break it loose? Man, it's turning the whole floor vise. Jeez. This thing's undefeated so far. Can't even believe it. I bet somebody hit this stuff with a whole bunch of Loctite. And I can't. I'm gonna try get this thing loose one more time. Woo! It is not giving up. Now it's just about took my socket with it too. Alright, I'm gonna try get this little rubber thing out that I would otherwise ruin. Oh no. I think she might be in two pieces now, but I'm sure the grease will fix that. She's about to get the snot heated out of her. I don't even know which side you really need to heat. Probably both. Dang. Well, this is definitely whipping us. Holy crap. I guess I'm gonna have to whip out the breaker bar. See what kind of leverage I can get. Holding a breaker bar, pulling on it. Also trying to keep the floor vise nice and stable. All right. Come on now. Whew. There is no real good way to do this. And I have definitely had these things out before, just not on this ski. Somebody probably just Loctited the crap out of this. Hopefully this heat kind of melts some of that away. I've never had one defeat me yet, but this one might get me. Had to get out a four-wheeler just to get the dang thing off the jet ski. There just ain't a whole lot of meat to grab on this side. Maybe I go back to the crescent. The struggle is real, folks. Jeez, come on, break loose. Oh, got it. Got it. Man, the Ugga Dugga is very seldomly defeated. And it took the L. The old cobalt on this one. Whew. All right, well, I'm gonna regroup and start working on getting all these washers and bearings and all the crap that's inside here out. And then we'll start cutting out this old wear ring. Well, sorry for the loud noises, but I had to turn it back to 1985 and bring out the air compressor. So these wear rings, you gotta cut them out. And what I'm gonna do is just take my tool here and I'm just gonna cut a groove just right across one side, use a flathead, go ahead and pry it out. And I got the new one's been sitting in the freezer for about 2 weeks, so it should be perfect to just go right on in. But I just want to show you guys that. And I don't like to go crazy on it. Just get it started. Don't run up there to your metal. Just get you a nice line going and just try and pry on it, see if you can break it out. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started on that. When I get this thing done, I'll give you guys a holler. Now you can see, she makes pretty quick work of it. So I'll be done with this in a minute, show you guys how to knock the new one on in. See, just like that. You can go ahead and pry this sucker out. Bang, there's your old wear ring. Just cut her on, pry it out. So that's all you gotta do. Let's get this old one cleaned up because it looks like it's been sprayed down with coconut. And we'll go ahead and get that new one wrapped on in there. Pretty sure the pond water will take care of the rest of it. But she's good enough for where we ski at. Nobody's gonna make fun of us. Dang, and I didn't even need to film the old wear ring going in because she's been in the fridge and man, it just slid on in there like it wanted to go home. But the old one's out, and I just want to show you guys. This thing should be incredibly tight, your impeller. See, this thing, it don't even want to go down in there. That's how tight that thing should be. In the old one, there was probably an 1/8 inch gap, if not more, all the way around the entire propeller, and in between that space and the wear ring. You're gonna get no propulsion because this thing's got a seal, shoot water through there to get your speed. So we're doing the right thing here. That thing was smoked, but I don't need to show you guys the reassembly part of it. It's, you know, the exact same as the disassembly, but I'll cut back when we're putting this thing back on the back of the ski here. Let's see. There she be. Just ready to go racing. Do some of them 360s. But yeah, I'll get back on this and we'll be having this thing out on the pond in no time. The last guy that put this impeller housing on used a ton of RTV. That's why I had to strap the dang thing to the El Camino, pull it with the Ranger to get the housing off. So following their lead, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing. I'm just gonna RTV the snot out of it and hope the next time I gotta take this thing out is never. Because, I mean, at least I guess I got the technique down now, but it ain't fun. It's definitely having to do some wrestling, but you want to go ahead and go all around the housing And all around these 3 tubes that go in, you're trying to make a watertight seal. And I just use this gasket maker stuff that I use on my cars with just black RTV, and just don't be shy. Go to town on it. You'll probably have to work some of it in around the hose area, but the rest of it, just glob it on there and let it ride. Now there's a real technical way this thing goes back on here. Now you just kind of got to ram it home, and this shaft in here, you got to make sure it gets lined up with your impeller. Sometimes you can play with it from the outside, you know, push your impeller around with a screwdriver and get it to push on there. If you're having issues, you're going to climb underneath and maybe try and wiggle it around some, push it up and down. So that occasionally can be an issue, but most of the time it ain't too bad. I'm hoping to try to get these hoses on here first without having to do too much wrestling. Maybe. I'd like to put them on, just push them back through. You're not really supposed to pull these guys through, but I was expecting this thing to come loose, but it did not. It was completely glued on. I think I'm just gonna have to ram these guys through these hoses, then just hook them up on the other side. We are in a bind. How did that happen? All right, there we go. And we are home. And I would give this 24 hours before I rode it on the water. Let that good old RTV just cook. Let it cook and seal up. Because the last thing you want on the water or in the pond is for you to start taking on water back there by that housing and just go down. But I'm gonna make sure my shaft engaged with my impeller, and then I'm gonna hook up the hose on the inside before I forget, because that'd be typically something that I would do. But I'm gonna make sure that shaft is engaged. It feels, I would say, like it went right on. That's kind of shocking, but I'm gonna go ahead, look at that, look at the shaft, make sure it's in the right position, check my 3 hoses, and then just start smoking this thing back down. So give me a minute and I'll reposition the camera. Check the shaft, totally engaged, first shot. Could not believe it. The 3 hoses that hook up to your pump housing right here, I got those tightened up, installed. There's 2 O-rings that go right here between your inner and outer pump housing. You want to go ahead and put those back in before you put the outer one back on, but we're going to start working on getting these 4 nuts bolted up. Now this might be time for a magnet again. Man, this stuff is just tight in here for me. Ain't got the finger dexterity that I used to have, I guess. It was like playing one of them games at the carnival. No. Come on now. Top ones aren't so bad. These bottom ones, you got no room at all. All right. Oh, air compressor kicked on. All right. Maybe. All right. One started. And there's a real specific torque I'm sure you're supposed to use to tighten these down, but we're just gonna smoke them till all that RTV squeezes out. It'll be all right. I ain't sunk one yet. I've been riding jet skis pretty much my whole life. Man, that air compressor never gets used anymore. All these electric tools are so much better. Having to trip over that hose all day long while you're working. Come on. All right. Last one. Then we're on the home stretch. And I am not gonna water test this thing in this video just because I ain't got a whole lot of time to do anything, and I do need to let this thing sit. I'm going out of town for the weekend, so this thing's actually gonna get at least a week curing time, so we should be golden. And you guys remember, again, I did pay $100 for this jet ski. So it's one of those, if something happens to it, it ain't gonna break my heart, but I mean, how cool is it that you got a $100 jet ski to be lake worthy? And I'm just kind of snugging all these up evenly before I put the real torque on it. I'm gonna go through each one, kind of crisscross pattern. And I think I'm even gonna take this wobble off, because you kill a lot of torque of your gun with that. I think these guys are snugged up. We'll know if I lose another one. I ain't going nowhere. All right. And remember, I told you guys that you got to put your O-ring on in place before your next step. I don't really know what's easiest, if you put it on this side. No, there ain't much of a lip there. Well, it's kind of acting like it's gonna stay at home there. Give myself a little light here. Make sure those things don't fall out. No, they're riding. One fell. Dang it. Might have to grab a little bit of grease. Just a dab on each. Kind of hold it in place. There's a real special kind of grease you're supposed to use. Nope. Just whatever you got. This one even says marine. That's how you know it's gonna work. Just a dab. Well, that ain't going nowhere. The little thing that adjusts the trim on this is kind of like always in the way, isn't it? Like never right where you want it to be. And I do not think the trim adjustment on this jet ski works. Oh man, my O-ring was moving around. I'm gonna try this first. Let's get these top two bolts kind of in their home and started, and then I'll press this thing up against here. Get those O-rings kind of where they need to be. And there we go. I hope the whole having to pull the pump housing thing off with my four-wheeler ain't scaring any of y'all off. Sometimes you just gotta get creative. I think that's kind of part of just growing up in the country. Not necessarily even living on a farm or anything, but just country folks gotta adapt to stuff. We just kind of figured out how to make it work, so doing something like that's not out of the everyday occasion for us, sadly. Come on now. This one is being ornery. Oh shit, is it stuck? Not no more, it's smoked home. Sure them O-rings are sealed now. All right, down to our final two. If I remember right, I think this guy was an 8. No, it's little. Yeah, that's an 8. So let's go ahead and hook him up. Not the easiest one to see, not gonna lie. Switch over to our 8. Go ahead and smoke it home. All right. Last one, steering linkage. So I think I just used the old tin and some pliers on this, if I remember right. Make sure you got your longest extension, so it's completely awkward to do anything. Definitely want your steering tight. But that's it. That's all it takes. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the easiest job, but it's definitely doable. And we're gonna go ahead and just let this thing sit and cook, and then we'll take her out. All right, now there's a real technical way this thing goes back on here. Now you just kind of got to ram it home, and this shaft in here, you got to make sure it gets lined up with your impeller. Sometimes you can play with it from the outside, you know, push your impeller around with a screwdriver and get it to push on there. If you're having issues, you're going to climb underneath and maybe try and wiggle it around some, push it up and down. So that occasionally can be an issue, but most of the time it ain't too bad. I'm hoping to try to get these hoses on here first without having to do too much wrestling. Maybe. I'd like to put them on, just push them back through. You're not really supposed to pull these guys through, but I was expecting this thing to come loose, but it did not. It was completely glued on. I think I'm just gonna have to ram these guys through these hoses, then just hook them up on the other side. We are in a bind. How did that happen? All right. There we go. And we are home. And I would give this 24 hours before I rode it on the water. Let that good old RTV just cook. Let it cook and seal up. Because the last thing you want on the water or in the pond is for you to start taking on water back there by that housing and just go down. But I'm gonna make sure my shaft engaged with my impeller, and then I'm gonna hook up the hose on the inside before I forget, because that'd be typically something that I would do. But I'm gonna make sure that shaft is engaged. It feels, I would say, like it went right on. That's kind of shocking, but I'm gonna go ahead, look at that, look at the shaft, make sure it's in the right position, check my 3 hoses, and then just start smoking this thing back down. So give me a minute and I'll reposition the camera. Well guys, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. It's a little bit different, a little change up, just doing a little maintenance on the old XP here. And next time you see it, she'll be doing them submariners, and I'll just shoot out of the water. Boom, land, nail a 360. Probably just jump straight out of the pond, especially with that new wear ring. But you know, I hope you guys learned something. You know, if anything, Polaris Ranger plus El Camino is greater than whatever silicone sealant they used on the back of that pump housing, because that thing was on there. And that Ranger, I put in low gear. Jeez, whoever did it right. I mean, I might have even done it. I might have done it in my sleep and not remembered, but jeez, whatever you do, put the most amount of RTV you can on your impeller housing. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it. Take a moment, like, subscribe, comment. Tell me if there's an easier way to do this. I'm open to suggestions. You know, I really appreciate everybody taking time to watch it. And you know, between now, my next video you watch, just go out, do something that makes you happy. Not this. Don't do this.